Well, good morning, and here we are again. We've got a grey and slightly misty day here in Kent, and I'm going to just drive a couple of miles to a different piece of woodland. I'm not sure what I'm going to find. I'm taking only the little 90mm macro lens and the camera. I'm travelling light, little tripod, plus this vlogging camera, and I'm not sure what I'm going to find, but I think it's going to be some woodland macro basically, because we're at the end of February today, last day of February, and there's no growth on the trees yet. There might be a little tiny bit of sort of spring growth showing, but I don't think there'll be much, and certainly we're tail end of winter, so it's a bit grey and gloomy. So I'm not sure what I'm going to find, and I'll talk you through it when we get there. Okay, here we are in the woods. It's well, about 8 o'clock in the morning. We've got a little bit of mist, but it's not really enough to show up in any photographs, because it's probably a quarter of a mile I can see reasonably clearly. But it is rather glorious, apart from the sound of cars. And I've now got my least favourite hill to go up, given the state of my knees, but bear with me, we'll trudge up this 120 feet. So I might be a bit out of breath by the time we get to the top. So as you can see around me, it's, apart from a few silver birch with some leaves still on, and obviously these holly bushes which are dotted around here as well, everything else has got no leaves on. There's no signs of any new growth yet, not as I can see. Perhaps a very small amount, but there's no colour in it, it's just the buds starting to develop. Get to the top of the hill here and see if we can find anything interesting to take some macro shots of. So before I get completely out of breath, I'll sign off for a minute. Bit of a breathtaker, that climb first thing in the morning. It's a good job it's nice and cold and fresh, the air. I catch my breath. It really is very, very pretty up here. I can recommend that to very few people, climbing a hill like that first thing. Ozzy! Here he is. He makes it look simple. Just runs up the hill as if it's not even there. So, here we are. Mixed woodland. Macro lens, 90mm. Well, potentially capable of macro. I don't necessarily have to use it for that. But I'm just looking around for interesting compositions. It's always the same when I come to woodland. I don't know if you have the same problem, but I really sometimes struggle to find compositions, simply because there's so much to look at. It's difficult to isolate single parts and think, I can frame that. So bear with me. I'm not sure I've found one yet. Well, okay, I've found something I think is a nice, interesting composition here. Just behind you guys, running in that direction and that direction, is the little track at the top of the hill here. And because it's been well trodden, the leaves obviously have been trodden in, so it's providing a nice dark line. So I'll spin you around, and as you can see, there's the little dark line running off into the distance. And over the track we've got this one tree arching over, and then behind it a couple of other trees with branches that are going off into this top left corner of the frame. So what I've done is set the camera up in vertical format here, with the lower right being the start of this tree. And here we go, it's blacking out again, and then that's leading off into the corner here. And then the other trees here are leading upwards and into that corner, which is framing the picture rather nicely. I just need to turn it around very slightly. There was a little spindly, see that little spindly tree there? It was just in the edge of the frame, spoiling it. So let's set the focus point on that nearest tree. F8, zero compensation, Let's go to F11 and wait for the dog to get out of the frame, and we'll take that one. 2-second timer, I hope. Yes. So let's take that one, and Ozzy, come here. Come here. So that's the first shot in the bag. You can see from that there's an awful lot of red fringing. That means we've got everything nicely in focus. I don't need to worry about focus stacking that at all. So that's a pleasing first image, looking around self-consciously in case there's anybody mooching around near me, and there aren't. It's quite early for the walkers and dog walkers to be out, but that's the first one. I think that's quite an interesting little shot, and I'll move on and see if I can find some more, and hopefully a little bit of macro into the bargain as well. Well, I found my next composition. I didn't have to walk very far, but just behind you, the track leads off along the top of the hill here, and as I said earlier, the way the leaves have been trodden in produces this nice dark track, which makes it possible to use that as a leading line in the image. So what I've done is I've set the camera up really quite low. As you can see down here, it's quite low to the ground. The reason being that there's, if you notice just there's a piece of log that's fallen off a tree or been put there by someone, who knows, but there is definitely a log there, and that log, if you position the camera correctly, actually gives you quite a nice leading line into that image. And what I like about this image is these trees coming up here, the track disappearing off into the distance, this log pointing towards that, and then on the right hand side here you'll see there's the remains of, over there on the right, some leaves on that piece of silver birch, nice sort of golden browny orangey coloured leaves, which look really quite attractive. So I'm going to take that shot. That's going to be my second shot. We've got f16, so we've got a fairly deep depth of field there. That's a 1 second exposure, so luckily there's no wind, so nothing should move. And I've turned off the shutter noise, or the mechanical shutter, because I've got a sneaking suspicion. I have a sneaking suspicion that the mechanical shutter can introduce a small amount of vibration, because you can feel it when you actually use the camera handheld when the shutter fires, and I can't believe that that doesn't manifest itself in some way, in some degree of vibration in the image. So the penalty to me is only really that I've got to run at 100 ISO, which is really the base ISO for this camera anyway, rather than 64 or 50, which are the extended low ISOs. And I don't think the degradation in image quality or lack of or change in dynamic range is really going to make a lot of difference. So I'll happily do that, and it's nice because it makes it all quieter. Anyway, I've now got to find something that's of a macro nature, so I'm going to walk along and see where the dog's gone off. Oh, he's just turned up here. Elsie, come here. Come here. And we'll see where we go with the next image. Well, it's not taken me long to find another sort of potential nice composition here. Looking along the same track again, and I love the way these copper beech and silver birches all sort of line the side of the track here. So spin you around, I'll show you what I'm talking about. And as you look down the track here, we've got this tangle of trees here. There's a beech tree, a birch tree, and a couple of others, the silver birches here, and going off into the distance with the track running through the middle of the picture. And just out of frame from the camera at the moment, there's a nice area just there of old leaves, yellow and orangey coloured, surprisingly two different colours, which makes it really quite a nice scene. So I'm going to move down to that, but initially, first of all, I was taken by this complicated image here where we've got all of the trees sort of intermingling, going off into the distance. And what I've done is I've deliberately set the camera at f4 rather than a very narrow aperture, because what I want to do, as I say, what I want to do is I actually want to have this first silver birch here as you can see, highlighted nicely in red. I want that to be in focus, and I want progressively all of the other trees, the further away into the frame they go, to be out of focus. So I think that looks quite a, I really do think that looks like quite a nice image, and I think that with a bit of post-processing will look quite nice. But what's really fascinating me is those leaves just a bit further down, so I've got to find a way of framing them up and to sort of bring a bit of the woodland into the scene as well. So bear with me while I go down there, and then I'll set up and see what we can get. Well, I suppose if I'm honest, I'm really quite enjoying the limitations of not having a zoom lens. This fixed prime 90mm lens is causing me to have to think more about the shots I'm setting up, which actually is quite a good thing to do. I get a bit lazy, I think probably we all do. Zoom lenses make it simple to just sort of pretty much move to one place and frame it up as you want by zooming, whereas I'm having to use the old Shanks's pony and move around to actually get the images I want. Anyway, what I'm set up for here is the shot I was talking about. I'll spin you around and show you it. And here we are on the back of the camera. It's a portrait orientation again. All of my shots today have been portrait. I might switch to a landscape in a minute, but I've got the focus point set on the tree, or the leaves, the yellow and orange leaves that are just here. And obviously at f2.8 the tree that's arcing across the image here is out of focus, which I can live with, but I can focus stack this. I'm going to take the one that's got the leaves I'm interested in focus, because I want the background beyond it to actually be out of focus, but I do want this tree here to be in focus. I'm now going to move the focus point onto that and go to f4, or f4 will do, and take that, and then I'm going to focus blend those. I'll focus stack them, focus blend them when I get back. Dog's seen another dog, he's looking interesting, so I'll have to get him back. So I think probably that's as much as I'm going to do from here. I might take a few more shots, but I'm not going to vlog them, and I'll just put them up on the video towards the end. Well, I did say I thought I'd finished the video, and the last little short clip signed me off, but I'm back again. The reason I'm back again is that I've got really very close to that little group of leaves sticking up, tiny little branch growing out of the ground, embryonic tree, and the leaves are just paper thin and beautifully white and sort of yellowy white colour, and they're in contrast to everything else in this wood. I can't see any other leaves this colour. They're all pretty much the coppery colour, which I'll spin you around and show you. See this sort of coppery brown colour, the dead leaves, but this particular branch here has got all of these beautiful yellowy white leaves on. And what's fascinated me is, because I've got the macro lens, I can get in quite tight, and that image there at 2.8, so it's wide open. I've got 3/50th of a second ISO 500, and I need that because, as you can see, the wind's blowing them a little bit and I don't want them to have any motion, but I think that's really quite a startling little image. And let's just turn the camera very slightly to get it completely in. Now, I like the way it's framed by the branch coming up here and then the leaf coming here and then the out of focusness of the other leaves in this shot. I think that's really quite a spectacular shot, so I'm going to have that one. 500th of a second, 2.8, no motion present, quick chimping session. Make sure we've got that. Oh, look at that, absolutely tack sharp. That is a lovely little lens, that really is. That is a beautiful little image. I really like that. I know it's not autumn, that's an autumnal image though, so I'm going to add that one in as well into the video. And I hope you enjoy the process. I just love that. That's so me, that's so minimalist. I really do like very, very simple images that in itself it tells a complete story. It is a leaf late in winter on a tree. It's not a lot of leaves, it's a couple in the background out of focus, which gives depth to the image as well, and it just is stunningly pretty. I'm quite taken by that, I must admit. I might take a couple more while I'm here, but I don't think I'll improve on that one. So we'll see you on the next video.